Okay. This one, I always start with okays. I should stop doing that. So yeah, this is about people telling you to be realistic. See, I'm an idealist. Most people, I think I was going to say most people are idealists. In some way or another, I think a lot of people are idealists. But idealists, we have these dreams of a better world, and maybe a better version of ourselves, really. And there's always some usually conservative person or somebody who's decided that it's not worth it to fight for a better world, to say, well, this is just how it is. The way it is people are selfish, people are mean, things aren't going to work out. You get what you can out of life, and that's all you can get. That's the reality. And I say this a lot. I mean, the reality is ugly. But what I really don't like is how they tell idealists like myself that you're not being realistic. You should be an idealist. Don't succumb to this idea that things are as good as they're going to be and that's it. Certainly it'll never be a utopia. That much is 100% certain, at least not in this world. We're never going to have a utopia. But we stop striving towards utopian ideals, then we kind of let things decay instead of letting them build up. As soon as someone tells you, oh, well, you're not being realistic, you have no way of winning the argument. These realists, just say, oh, well, that's just the way things are, and you're better off accepting it, Really, all that does is reinforce the shortcomings in reality. To say that it's not realistic to hope for better, or to think that we're capable of better. And so they end the argument right there. They've it's a way. It's really an unfair way of sort of saying, okay, we're the adults here. You're the children. Adults know that things can't get better. The children think that things can get better, and they'll eventually find out. Oh, you'll find out that your dreams and your hopes for humanity and the world are unrealistic. And then how are we supposed to answer that? All we can say is, well, if you don't try for a better world, you're not going to have a better world. And they'll just say, well, we're incapable of that, or the world's incapable of that. Well, I say no. I say that if you don't at least fight for a better world, then things are going to go downhill. If you act selfishly, if you don't believe that humans are capable of more than just acting like animals, then you just reinforce that idea. But if you constantly work towards the ideas, a lot of my videos are very much based on, principles of some, enlightenment that may or may not ever exist. But just the striving for that, for those better things, I think, is a noble pursuit. And to strive for it in the face of all the evidence to the contrary is even more noble. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I'm sure there's a lot of idealists who are striving for a better world. And that's why we pull for Bernie Sanders. This is sort of also a video to say, they talk about how Bernie Sanders is unrealistic. I don't want to live in a world where Bernie Sanders' ideas are not realistic. The realistic thing, what they're saying is realistic. Bernie is just coming up with ideas that, a political revolution. We need a political revolution in this country. We need to get corruption out of politics. You think Hillary's getting corruption out of politics? You think any of the Republican presidents are getting corruption out of politics? Now, maybe Bernie won't be able to make it happen because he's got to, The Senate is still going to be, mostly moderates and Republicans, and there'll be a Democratic majority, but the House will probably be mostly Republican. I mean, we're not gonna have a bunch of pie in the sky liberals taking over all branches of government, but at least Bernie is telling us the truth about what needs to happen. And if we try to strive for the ideals, then it can only be better than it is. I prefer total gridlock with an idealist on one side and a bunch of idiot conservatives on the right, on the other side, to this compromise that gets done with Hillary Clinton, where compromise just means some token liberal things that are completely overwhelmed by the evil that conservatives are plotting. Every compromise that Obama has made since he's been in office has only brought us to a worse place, and the little good that it does is not cutting it for turning around the direction of humanity. What we need is radical change. We don't need piecemeal change. We don't need little compromise. Little compromises aren't getting the job done. We need to get the money out of politics, and that's what Bernie Sanders is going to do. And as soon as you start saying, well, we have to accept the lesser of two evils, and as soon as you start saying that some good is better than no good, you're just lying to yourself. Things have to get better. Things are on a bad path. We've gone back and forth between moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, and staunch Republicans, but it never goes to the full-on radical liberal. We've had radical Republicans, but not radical liberals. So keep the dream alive, people. Keep the dream alive, because if you don't, we're just going to get the realistic world forever. That's all it'll be. But we can have something that at least attempts to be an idealistic world. Like I said, it'll never be utopia, but if we're going to move it in the right direction, be an idealist, and let's make whatever big changes happen that are possible.